You said that Lincoln hates slavery. Can we just take that tangent and, from a perspective of some, there's a hypocrisy there, him pushing for a policy of colonization.
Colonization. Yes, colonization. In the summer of 1862, Lincoln met with a group of black leaders and tried to convince them to support colonization, which colonization meant if you freed enslaved people, then they would go somewhere else. They'd go out of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Liberia exists. And Lincoln, that is probably the least attractive element of his total thinking on. He genuinely didn't believe that white people would ever accept black people as equals. He told the leaders that when he met with them, and he said, "You wouldn't want it that way. I wouldn't either. It's the way it is. It's a reality."
Do we know he believed that, or is this a pragmatic politician understanding the lay of the land?
I think for someone who was born in Kentucky and reared in southern Indiana and southern Illinois, he was never around anything but a level of intensity on race that he probably didn't ever see, wasn't ever around white people who he could see accepting black people as fully equal. I do believe that.
And still, it is a country that where the words "all men are created equal" is on the page.
They're right there on the page, waiting for that to be made good on. Yes, that's correct. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
And Lincoln changed. I mean, Lincoln also was capable of growth.
Well, he seemed to have evolved quite a lot in the years of the war.
He did. No, he did. He did.
And it's very, very possible, were he not assassinated, he would have arrived at a very different worldview.
We'll never know, but we do know that he was a lot smarter and a lot more adaptable and a lot more politically adept than Andrew Johnson. And so it certainly would have looked different. Well, it's true.
No, I think I vaguely remember you saying somewhere that Andrew Johnson is the second worst president in America's history.
Yeah, he's right. He has the glory of being above James Buchanan. I said that a few years ago.
I think you said something about Buchanan. Is there's like a basement? There's like a basement below
sub-basement. He's in the sub-basement.
He's in the sub-basement. I put that in the category of the slime poetic commentary.
He's in a little corner of the sub-basement, all by himself with one candle.
Can we take that tiny tangent of why they were terrible? The tangent on a tangent. Why was Andrew Johnson such a terrible president? And Buchanan,
I think he was a terrible president because he was extremely prejudiced. He had all kinds of grievances stacked up. He had the poor white man's grievance from being in a slaveholder. His slaveholders were part of his enemies when he was growing up. Then he embraced them after the war. Mm-hmm. He couldn't get beyond his most profound lifelong prejudices. He was not malleable in any way. He thought what he thought, and that's what he was always going to think. And he just was not the right person to be in place.
Well, why is Buchanan the worst president in America's history?
If you had a dictionary that had the word hack in it, it should have a picture of James Buchanan by it. He was an absolute political hack who made his way up by staying alive and doing everything that you should do as a party hack as you went along. And then, I ended up as president in 1856 because the person I'm running against is from a party. This is the first time they're running a candidate. His way of dealing with the secession crisis was basically hiding under his desk and hoping the roof didn't fall in before he got out of Washington. He's just horrible.
I think from that, I get a sense that what you admire in a leader and a president is a kind of backbone.
Yes.
To be able to, again, take risks and to stand behind political savvy, yes, but also a backbone behind that savvy.
Yes, and to actually change a position if you're persuaded by both events and good counsel that you had the wrong position before. Go ahead and do that.
So some kind of balance of a backbone behind principles and malleability based on the information, knowledge, and wisdom that you gain versus for convenience or out of fear.
There's an apocryphal story about Lincoln that I think gets at his willingness to row against the tide if he needed to. They're discussing something in a cabinet meeting, and he says, "Well, let's vote. Let me get your sense." And they went around the table, and every cabinet member voted no. And Lincoln said, "Well, that's 6 no's and 1 yes. Mine, the ayes have it." I mean, he listened to them, and in that case, he's willing to do something that's unpopular and knows that he's going to get, but he'll do it because, and that's a quality not everybody has either.